Greetings and welcome to MTG-Profits, Episode 8. My name is Devin, and I am joined by my co-host Andy.
Hello, everybody.
And today we're going to, as per our usual, hit maybe a news item. And today we've got something a little special on the docket. We're going to go through some how to sell cards on eBay specifically, and if time permits, maybe mention other avenues as well. And as always, give a pick or two at the end of the episode. So first little bit of news that we had for this week, it was a relatively slow news week. A pro player, Dan Lanthier, requested a permanent DCI suspension for himself, and that came after he had been caught cheating on camera at an extremely low-level event like a Friday Night Magic event. And at first, when he had been caught, he tried to play it off as some sort of play error or play mistake, but it was a blatant cheat. He actually pulled a land that he was searching for in his deck right out of his graveyard, plugged it right into his deck, and then pulled that same mana. And
That's really sad.
He miraculously found it. So,
wow.
Eventually,
you did not fail to find.
It was crazy. So I think, sensing the shitstorm that was about to descend on him, he actually took it to the next level and requested a permanent ban for himself and all future cheaters, and in an attempt to not discredit his prior winnings, he said, something along the lines of, "This doesn't represent my play, and neither does it represent the way I play and the standards that I hold myself to, and nor does it invalidate my previous victories as well." So, what do you think of that?
It seems very skeptical of that then, because, I mean, if he, it sounded, too, that he when he cheated, he did it it was well practiced, so...
It was extremely smooth.
I don't know, that would tend to make you think that he has done that before. If it was that smooth.
And not only that, this was done at an extremely low-level event where there was, no money on the line. There might have been, a pack at the end of the night on the line or something.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen the video for this, but I have seen the video, and it's fantastic. So he's got his hand in front of him, and he's got his graveyard sort of to the back right of his field. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't have his graveyard stacked up. His graveyard is splayed out in front of him in two rows of 3 cards. And they're staggered in a way that essentially you could pick up any card you want from that graveyard.
Yeah.
And what he did was he did something really smart. So he at the moment when he cracked his land to search for, it was like a root-bound crag or something. It was like the forest mountain he was searching for. So he lifted up the deck that he was supposed to search, blocked his opponent's view of his graveyard, and with his right hand picked the card up that he needed and added it into his library at the same time. So he basically blocked the opponent's view of the grave, and he waited until the opponent started taking count of life. So he cracked a fetch, and when the opponent was writing down that he had lost a life for cracking the fetch, he picked up his library, blocked the guy's view of his graveyard, snatched that card up, shoved it into his library, and then made a show of searching for it. So, it was extremely smooth and obviously well practiced.
Yeah.
It was like a masterclass sleight of hand cheat. It wasn't something he just accidentally did for the first time at this Friday Night Magic. So pretty shady stuff, and
especially if you're a tour pro tournament player and
he's won GPs before,
and you're really supposed to be a professional. How can we not question your wins in the past now?
Exactly. And not only that, I feel like cheating, I think, should be penalized harshly. It's like these things are just, it's what ruins a game. I know you've been on the end of the receiving end of cheating. I know I've been on the receiving end of cheating. It's pretty much ruins the game when you're sitting there. And the most common cheats that I see is when people stack their sealed deck. You know, like
Yep,
It'll
absolutely.
be a sealed environment, and all of a sudden during deck construction, they pick up their cards and disappear to the bathroom,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
then they come back late, and because they've been sitting there changing their deck where no one can see it, and then
Hmm.
all of a sudden they have all the soldiers they could possibly want,
Yep.
or all the, you know, I
Well,
remember,
Kithkin as it might be.
yeah, God, the Kithkin cheater, I remember
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Golly. In a draft, he had like, 22 Kithkin in his deck or something. out
It
of a
was
out of a
very
40 card deck,
outrageous.
he had like 22 Kithkin and like seven non-Kithkin cards.
Oh.
It's unbelievable. It
I guess
was
my
amazing.
question too is, did the guy not notice he was being recorded, or do you?
I think he knew he was being recorded. That's actually a really good point. He knew he was being recorded. He just forgot. And like the cheating comes so naturally to him. It's probably like breathing air. You don't actually think that you're doing it. You don't think
Hmm,
about it. It just happens so naturally for
I
him. He's
guess
just,
so.
it's just part of his gameplay. It's like it's an integral part of his playing Magic in all likelihood. So
Yeah.
for him, it's just like the normal game. So
Wow.
he didn't have to think twice about it. It just happened.
Yeah.
So
I guess if you're gonna cheat, at least don't cheat when you're being recorded. I mean,
you
come
know,
on now.
you got that right.
Oh God.
It's just shockingly stupid.
Yeah.
You know.
Absolutely.
But you know what? The sad thing is, he probably won't get like a permanent ban. He won't get like a lifetime ban. He might even not even get a year. Watch him get like 6 months.
Yeah.
They only ban people for making memes and photographing butt cracks in tournaments and things. That'll get you a lifetime ban. You're not welcome anymore. But cheating in the game, oh well, we don't mind cheaters. Cheaters are okay. It's part of the game. You know,
Yeah, that should be at the very top,
it
top of
should
the
be.
list.
It should
Yeah.
be the absolute first thing that,
Hmm. Don't cheat.
because the penalty should be severe to prevent further cheating, to dissuade it and make it
Yeah.
so that people won't do it in the future.
Yeah.
So, that's our news item for the week. Just some crazy BS and people and their bad
Yeah.
behavior. It's kind of a
Yeah.
shame, but we've all been on the end of it. I bet you, even if you don't even know you've been cheated on, you've probably been cheated on.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I mean, every game, every sport, everything. There's always going to be some cheaters. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just how it is.
Yeah, it's really sad because it really ruins things.
Yep. Absolutely. Disappointing.
Yeah, but I know today we wanted to discuss a little bit, some details about, I think, buying and more specifically selling on eBay.
Exactly. I mean, we've talked in a lot of episodes about buying, and we talked about our picks and things that you should buy, and we've even talked about sources for researching cards and where to look for that. And today we thought we'd focus a little bit more on the actual selling aspect because now that you bought all these cards, what are you going to do with them? Well, you're going to eventually sell them at some point, and you want to try to make some money off them.
That's
So,
right. Eat some
how are
cash.
you going to do that? And I think the best source is through eBay.
Yeah, yeah. I think eBay's got the most eyeballs, and it's the easiest to sell things on eBay. I find, I do find there are pros and cons to it, but as a general rule, I do probably sell more of my cards through eBay than any other source. And I also sell cards on TCG Player, and I've also done it on Amazon in the past.
Yeah.
And but I would say
You,
the vast majority is eBay.
you think overall it's just easier and less costly to do it through
You
eBay?
know, I actually think it's I don't think it's I actually think it's probably more expensive to do it through eBay. It's cheaper to do it on Amazon, and it's cheaper to do it on TCG Player for sure.
Okay.
Um, and I think it's about equally easy. It may actually be easier on Amazon, to be honest. The only issue is the amount of purchasers, the amount of eyeballs
So
on
the
eBay.
audience is
Exactly.
the issue.
Yep. Because the eBay has by far the most people looking for Magic cards and trading card games in general, as far as I can tell. And so the process itself is relatively easy. What do you typically use? Do you typically use the app, or do you typically use the website?
I
What's
used
your
to use the
preference?
website, but now I use the app. I find it so much easier just to do it through the app, especially because some of the integrated features with that. So like, well, you're going to want to take pictures. Okay, it can take pictures right away, right through the app, and just do it.
Yes.
It's not a problem.
You don't have to then transfer the picture to your PC to upload the picture on eBay.
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
right there. I've got it. Um, easy to do.
I agree. I love listing from my phone. However, when I complete the process, I actually then go back to my PC. And it's mostly because I need to print things out at that point. So for the sake of argument, what I'll do is I will go through the entire process of listing the item on the eBay app, which is a great app, by the way. It's a very useful phone app, I think. I don't know if you found this to be the case, but it keeps tabs. It does a very good job when people make offers. It
Yep.
tells me the moment that my item has been purchased. It tells me when I've been paid for the item. So basically, I know exactly the status of my items.
And I would
And
say it's definitely improved over time. I remember before it
absolutely,
was much buggier, and I would have issues every now and then with it not completing my listing and things like that, but it seems to have greatly improved. So,
it has.
um,
Although I do have one current complaint with it. I don't know if you've noticed this, but for some reason, for me, trying to communicate through other buyers to other buyers and sellers for items that I've either purchased or people that have purchased items from me, normally you can send a message through eBay, and there
yeah,
is a way to do that from the app on the phone. But for
yep.
some reason, when I do that lately, the messages are not going through. The users are
Oh,
not getting my messages. And then I have to go back and check on the actual website to see if the message has been sent or received.
okay.
So there does seem to be, at least on the iOS version, a little bit of a communications bug, and
Now,
that has not
when you
always been
send the
present.
message, do you do it so it will send a copy to your email as well?
Historically, I've gotten really lazy about that, and I don't do it.
I'm just
So
curious to see if you're
if
getting
I
the
get it,
copy at least, to see if
that's a
that's
really good
happening.
question. I'll have to try that the next time. But I've actually, after it failed to send twice, and I tell you what the problem is, it looks like it's sent.
Yeah,
So as far as you can tell, that message was sent. It even says message sent. But the
yeah.
problem is they're not getting it.
Huh.
So it's
Interesting.
very problematic when you think you've asked someone a question and they don't get back to you, and it turns out they never got it. Because then you're sitting here thinking that jerk, he didn't even respond to my request, or whatever. Or if you're responding, if someone requests information of you and you respond and they
Yep.
don't get the response, they're sitting here thinking that jerk, he didn't send me a response. So
Sure. Sure.
and
I guess
for
on that subject, I mean, I use the Android version of the app, and I've never had a problems sending messages through it.
Yeah, I
As
historically
far
have
as I
not.
know, I've
Yeah,
never.
yeah, it's curious. I've
Never.
noticed that over the last 4 months that problem has cropped up. So it has not always been the case. I've historically sent messages without a problem through the
Yeah.
phone app, but lately it has been a little bit more of a problem.
So we're
So
looking. So eBay is the best way to go. So get the app, whatever device type you have. Um, you go in. There's an option there for selling. Go under selling, and then you can list an item, and then you can describe your item, put whatever you want for it. And then you have a bunch of other fields to fill out about your item. So you need to set the title of it. Yeah, kind of photos. You set the category. You put in the item details. Put in the description, and put in your pricing and your shipping. I
yep.
think those are the major
Two,
things.
one major choice that you have is do you want to do an auction or do you
Yeah. Oh,
want to do a
exactly.
buy it
Yep.
now? So that's I usually will do buy it now with the option to allow for best offers. That's my
Okay.
typical listing. It'll list an item, and in the
And that's
listing
mainly
of
the.
the items, I usually will have in the listing. I usually have the letters somewhere in the listing MTG. I will have the name of the card. I will sometimes even have Magic the Gathering written out,
Yep.
and I always list the quality of the item. So my current listings say like MTG, Fatal Push, Near Mint, Ether Revolt. So that is typical of my listings. Oh, and the number of cards. So if you
Yes,
have
I
a
think you
four
was going
of,
to
it'll
include the
say
number. Yep.
X4. Yep. Or
Absolutely.
and then so I will typically offer buy it now pricing with the ability to offer or what they call best offers.
And that's really just to sell it faster then, right?
It
You want
is.
to do buy it now for speed.
It is. And I usually do a quick search on eBay of the card that I'm trying to sell. I am typically going to be typically going to be the lowest, one of the lowest, if not the lowest, for whatever card I'm selling, especially when I want to move it quickly. If I want to dump that card, I want it to be out of my hands. And a lot of the selling and buying that I do is time sensitive. So,
Sure.
or at least that's how I feel it is. So I usually want to get in and get out. And so,
Exactly. I agree. I think you want to sell it as fast as you can. Time is money in this case.
yeah.
So, get that for buy it now. If it's something that I feel is in a rush to sell, and usually only like higher value items, I'll do an auction version of that.
Okay.
But the vast majority of everything I'll do, I agree. Buy it now.
Yeah, I usually
The
do a
way to
buy it
go.
now. I very seldom do auction things, except if I feel that it's a harder item to sell. If it's a harder item to sell, I will auction. But if it's something like Magic cards seem to have a very wide audience of purchase. There's a lot of eyeballs looking at Magic cards. And as long as I tend to be among the lowest priced items, I'll usually end up selling that card
Hmm.
or box,
Yeah,
as the
yeah.
case may be. So then that gets to the next step, which is
So we
so
talked
say
about the title, talked about category, you just fill that out.
yep.
Description, add in a little description. So that brings us, you talked a little bit about pricing, so set it to buy it now and make your price competitive.
That's what, yeah, typically.
Make
Yep.
it as low as possible or near the lowest if you want to sell it. If you really think you're going to make a lot of money for it, you can set it higher, but
Yeah.
you
You
might
might
wait.
sit on it for a
Or,
while, which is,
yeah.
it's your prerogative.
And the only other thing I'd touch back on is the photos. So take a bunch of photos of it, and I would take as many photos as you need to properly, describe to show the object. And I get to
Yeah.
that because if you have like a scratch or something on it, and someone complains about it later, you can say, well, it was in the photos or it was in the description.
Yeah.
So you're covering yourself by being descriptive and taking photos and making sure to include any sort of imperfections in the your description and in your auction.
Yeah, that is true. I try to, depending on the dollar amount, if it's some low dollar cards, then I'm not going to typically bother with a bunch of pictures. If it's more than $12, I'll usually take more than one photo.
Yeah,
And if it's like more than $50, I'll make sure I'm taking like 4 photos and I'm angling it so I'm getting light reflections off it so they can see surface wear,
sure.
things of that nature. And same things when I sell like booster boxes. I'm usually taking more than one photo to show that the shrink wrapped seal is intact.
Yep.
So
And for all those categories, for all of them that we just talked about and what's to come too, as Devin said, you can look at other auctions to get a sense for things. Well, how should I list this description? How should I list the title? We kind of gave you some suggestions, but certainly look at some of the other auctions to get ideas on how to do those, and you can use that or come up with something yourself. I think just overall, you just want to be as descriptive as possible and as competitive as possible in your pricing.
yeah, I think that's about right. So then once you sell an item, the app will say, your item has sold. Please
Well, I think
await
we got
payment.
one other big piece here, probably the biggest piece. All right, you want to talk about this now? The shipping?
So yeah, that actually is going to come after the sale of the item. So,
Okay, well,
you
but
know,
I mean, you still have to set it in your description though.
oh,
Your
okay.
listing of
Oh, you're
how
right.
you
Oh,
want
I
to
see
do.
what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I usually am going to offer free shipping. I find that gets by far the most eyeballs. Uh,
Okay. And there's a little thing in the app there that you could say buyer gets free shipping, and you can
yeah.
click on that, and then you don't
I,
have to worry about it.
I almost always offer free shipping. I don't know about you, but I typically
I
do.
always offer free shipping. I think
Yeah.
it's a great incentive. People like to see free shipping, and I have to rally against the people who say, oh, the card is only 10 cents with $5 shipping.
Yeah, it's super annoying. When I'm on
Yeah.
eBay and I'm purchasing, I'm looking for free shipping. I look for it. So
I
I
think
feel if I look for it, other people are looking for it.
exactly, and I think a lot of people, I don't know, they try to play this trick with the shipping that they try to inflate the shipping cost to make the auction seem less or the cost of the buy it now less, when in reality it comes out the same, or so exaggerated that there's no way I would buy it for that price. So
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
It's
I think if you try to screw people with the prices, either the price of the card or through shipping, it's going to be a slow sale, if at all.
and realistically, people are pretty savvy. They're not gonna like fall for a high shipping price. They understand that. Like they're never gonna buy that card. So people are pretty savvy on the internet. It's oh, that's a $3 card. Well, let me buy it for 10 cents and then pay $3.50 for shipping. People are not going to go for that. So it's a safe bet. Yeah. Yeah, but I typically offer the free
So
shipping.
out for free shipping. So you throw your listing together. You say post it. It says at the bottom. It goes online. You can always go back and revise it if you want to. If you mess something up, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yep.
There's no listing fees, right?
For your first 50 items.
Your first 50.
Yeah, I have actually reached that limit in the past, and then they do charge you once you have more than 50 active items for sale.
Okay.
They
Only
will
at
tag
50 at a time.
at a time. That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
So
And
my
what's
account
the
is
cost?
currently 24. I currently have 31 active items for sale.
Wow.
So
What's the cost? Do you know the cost offhand for
it's
listings
like
that?
it's like 25 cents or something like that. I've only breached that limit once, and it seems to me it was like a 25 cent per item listing fee. They called it a listing fee, and it was like a
Okay.
quarter, I believe.
So,
Which on a Magic card, 25 cent listing fee, and for a $2 card is substantial.
oh, absolutely.
25 cent listing fee on a $100 card is not substantial.
So,
So
be aware of how much you're listing, but, in the end, you don't really have to worry about that.
typically not. I usually have got under that amount for sale. Like I said, right now I've got although I was close because I had, or at least my 60-day total, I have sold 11 items, and I currently have, like I said, 30 odd items for sale. So I was not that close. I still had a solid 10 listings for free available.
Okay. So you got your listing out there, it's sitting there, someone clicks and says, I want to buy it. You'll get a little notification that, congratulations, someone has your hard work paid off or whatever. Someone has purchased your item.
Yep. And then it'll usually tell you the item is bought, and then it'll tell you once the item is paid for.
Yes.
Once the item is paid for, it then says, go ahead and ship the item.
Yeah, so don't do anything until it is paid for.
Yeah, don't ship your goods until you've received your funds.
Yeah.
So, and it's almost exclusively PayPal funding.
Yeah.
So if you are buying, that's important to mention, if you are buying and selling on eBay, you will need PayPal. It is a necessity. That is essentially the only way to get
The
paid.
currency of PayPal. You can set other options, but I wouldn't recommend that.
You will never sell those items because they don't even list them in the same way. So they don't even come up on the search if PayPal's not an option for payment.
So definitely make sure you have a PayPal account and you can manage your transactions that way.
Exactly. Yep, you will need PayPal. So, but for buying on eBay, most of the time you need PayPal as well. So if you've ever bought anything on eBay, you can pretty much sell something on eBay. And that's another advantage to eBay. It's like, oh, I've bought things from eBay before. Well, guess what? You can sell things too. So, and all you need is the same PayPal account that you normally use to buy things, and that's the same way you sell things.
And if you have any concerns about PayPal, PayPal is completely free. It's easy to set up.
Although they will charge
and everything.
They do charge a small fee. Yeah. They actually charge you a fee when you sell your items, though.
Yeah. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
And one other note I want to say too is, if you don't get paid relatively soon after the auction, you're probably not going to get paid.
Have you had a bunch that have not paid?
I've had a couple, but I have seen, and I'm talking to other sellers, that if you don't get paid within the 24 hours, you're probably not going to get paid.
Yeah, it seems like I would agree with that. Sometimes it goes as far as 2 days, but I have not been paid several times.
Yeah.
So
So that's a whole different topic, what to do if that happens. But let's
yeah, that's a
assume that
pain.
you've listed your item and they have they won the auction and they paid it. So it'll say that you got paid X amount, and that amount will be different than what you had it listed for, because it'll minus the transaction, the PayPal transaction or whatever, or the eBay transaction. Which one?
So usually you'll actually the amount that you'll receive is actually typically going to be that exact dollar amount. They actually take that money from you at the end of the monthly billing cycle. So, for the sake of argument, I have sold $687 worth of stuff on eBay in the last period, and I received from eBay yesterday a bill for $67.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, what happens is they put the money into your PayPal for the purchase price, but then you will pay eBay every month from your PayPal the amount that eBay bills you, which is about 10%. So, like I said, at 680 bucks, they're taking 67 bucks. So it's like 9.2% or something like that is the eBay transaction fee. So eBay doesn't charge you to list your item, but they do charge you when you sell, to sell an item.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is important to take into consideration, especially for high dollar items. If you're selling something for $300, eBay's keeping $30.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there are definite costs associated with the use of the eBay. And so you've got 10% right off the top. You've got to pay to ship your item, and another 2% PayPal is going to take. So, it does add up slowly. So it's just something to take into consideration when you're selling these cards, which is why you don't want to have teeny tiny transactions, of like less than $2, because just the shipping is going to eat you up percentage wise.
Exactly. I try to really sell anything. God, it's got to be at least $5 and over, if not $10 and over.
Yeah, my sweet spot is more than four. So, but I try, obviously higher is better, and I'll try to push for higher because sometimes I'll just do four ofs.
Exactly. Or that's the other way. I'll sell a lesser value card, but I'll do the four of those cards.
Yeah, so it'll be like $4.50 cards. It brings you to six.
Yeah.
So, or even better, four $2 cards, which brings you to eight. So, and typically, if a card is below $8, I will usually put the card. Oh, you know what? So that brings me to the next our next step. Once you've sold the item, it'll tell you the item has been paid for, and now that it's time to ship the item. So now I actually do go back onto the PC because I will need to print shipping labels or I'll have to pay for shipping.
Sure. Exactly.
So I've sold. I'm looking at a couple of Fatal Pushes that I just sold, and I sold them at $4.34 a piece, and I sold two of them. So I was selling them as one-ofs, but someone came and bought two of them. So I'll go to the computer, and then I will hit print shipping label. So what it does is...
So this is through your PayPal account when you go to that transaction.
Or eBay. So I'll be right on eBay.
Or eBay, yeah. Yep. You can do it through PayPal too, though.
I usually am going to print a packing slip right from eBay. And what it'll do is the packing slip shows everything on it. It shows the address of the individual, shows my address, shows how much they paid, and what they bought. And I will just print this page out because this is the page that's going in the envelope for the user. Or alternatively, I will cut his address out of it and tape it to the outer envelope and then and mail the rest of it to him. So I will, for an $8 sale, I will typically not send it tracked. I will typically send it just in a regular USPS, stamped envelope with a top loader holding the cards. So sometimes you hate to do it that way, but paying $2.67 for An $8 sale is just, it really just eats into your profit.
Exactly. That's about the approximate cost of what it costs to send that to print
The shipping label.
the shipping label that includes the tracking.
Yep.
But whatever your purchase, if it's $5 or $10 or whatever, if you're gonna do it, print that shipping label, you're gonna spend at least $2.67 or whatever.
That's exactly right. Now, it's important to
Think
mention
about
you can
that
do
when you
that
do it.
right. Yeah, it definitely bears consideration. You can do that right from eBay. So right when you hit print shipping label, there's two things that pop up. The first thing is print a packing slip. I always print a packing slip. Then the second thing, it allows you to purchase postage right from eBay. You pick the postage type, so it would be U.S. Postal Service. It would be first class mail, and it automatically sends it with tracking. And what happens is you will then use your printer to print out the shipping label, and it will charge your PayPal account $2.67
Yep.
to ship out an envelope. And you literally just tape that shipping label onto your envelope and put it in your mailbox. You don't have to go to the post office. You don't have to do anything special. You just put it in your mailbox. That's it.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
I find that that's very easy. It works for packages as well, and the packages I ship pretty regularly. And although we'll talk about that a little bit in a moment because it'll be outside of eBay typically.
Yeah, that's a little more complicated. I haven't
Yeah.
done as much at the bigger size. I'm usually sending singles or multiple of cards.
And you usually print your shipping label right from eBay, correct?
I'll usually print it through PayPal. I go into PayPal and it'll have an option there on that transaction, print shipping
Print
label,
shipping label.
and I'll do it there.
You might want to try doing it through eBay because I didn't know if you were aware, but they give you a 10% shipping reduction or something.
Yeah, there's a slight discount if you do it through eBay.
So,
So yeah, I just print it out, and I usually just use. I have all these. You can get them anywhere really. The security envelopes. It's got a little sticker on the back to peel it off and seal it. And they're smaller envelopes. I use these, the 3 5/8 inch by 6.5 inch envelope.
gotcha.
And then I cut out I get my label. I print it out. I cut it to size, and I slap it on the envelope and send it out.
Yep, that's really all there is to it. So it's pretty elegant. It's pretty easy. It is not. It does consume a little bit of time when you consider you've got to list it, you've got to sell it. Once you've sold it, you got to print the packing slip, print out the shipping label, tape it on, cut the thing out, tape it on, put it in there. So there is a little bit of effort associated with it.
And I will say I never print a packing slip.
Oh, really? You just drop a card
I
in
just
there?
chuck it right into the envelope. Yep.
Really?
That's it. Yep. I've never did it.
Wow. So you don't have so when they open their envelope,
Mhm.
they're just opening a card in a top loader?
They're just
And-
getting a card and a top loader. That's it.
Wow. I'm shocked.
Yeah. That's
I am
it.
very surprised. Printing a packing slip is free, and I highly recommend doing it.
Yep. That'll do it.
Wow. So this I like having it in there because it shows the item number, it shows who they got it from, and because if they're ordering a bunch of cards, they may not know whose card came. So, for example, this guy that just ordered 2 Fatal Pushes from me, dollars to donuts, he's ordered 2 from somebody else. So, what if he doesn't get one of them? Now I'm relying on him sleuthing around to figure out where it came from and where it didn't come from. You see what I'm saying? So I would much rather him have that information right in front of him right when he opens.
I guess it gives the seller that information or the buyer that information, but it still doesn't really hold any water as far as if they wanted to contest it.
It doesn't. If they're going to contest it, whether they got it or not, it doesn't help. But it does help if they're getting a boatload of cards.
Yeah, I agree. It is a nice to have for the buyer.
Yeah, and it's absolutely critical when you trade cards to have these labels.
Well, see now, that's different. When I do a trading, I'll do
Yeah.
more detailed than that.
Yeah, I've just gotten in the habit of doing it every time. I'm actually surprised you don't do that. It's shocking to me.
No, it's just an extra step that I skip.
Yeah, fair enough. I always do that. But
So recommended do it, but
yeah,
it'll work if you don't.
yeah, exactly. Now, when I send large packages, so if I'm going to send something that is, say, I'm going to send a booster box, and a booster box is something like 2.6 pounds. It's heavier than United States first class shipping, so I can't send it USPS first class. I have to send it USPS priority mail or UPS, which is the brown truck. And typically I will sell booster boxes right from. So when I sell a booster box, if it's right from eBay, I will do the exact same thing, and I will use eBay's shipping page to pay for shipping as well. And I will just choose whether there's a little drop down menu that allows you to choose priority mail, and it says package or thick envelope. So I'll usually click on that and then click package, and you have to weigh how much the box is. And so I have a little scale here on the desk, and I just weigh the booster box, and I usually weigh the box that I'm going to put the booster box in, and you have to insert the amount in pounds and ounces into this eBay thing. And so it'll be like 2 pounds, 6 ounces, and then it will give you an estimated price. And then you can pay for it right here, right from the eBay page, and instantly print out your shipping label just like you can with first class packages. So you can do priority mail as well. And you still just stick it in an envelope, or not in an envelope. You just stick it in your mailbox. You put the label on the box. You put the box in your mailbox, and since it's prepaid, you don't have to do anything to it.
Yeah.
So when the post office lady person comes, she's going to scan it when it goes into the truck, and that's when the tracking commences.
I will feel more comfortable just going to the post office and dropping off
packages.
Big things.
I've done it at 3 different places. I've done it in my mailbox. If it can fit in my mailbox, I am going to stuff it in my mailbox, because that is by far and away the least amount of work for me.
Easiest.
However, I live in a neighborhood that has like homeowners, and they have these mailboxes that are all uniform, and they're not big. So I can't fit, like in most cases, I can't fit anything larger than a bubble envelope in there. So I have to... then what I'll do is I'll just drop it in one of those blue things. I don't know if you've seen those around, but the little blue mailbox, like a metal box that's that's stuck to the ground. If you can shove it in one of those, you're good too.
Sure.
But so the third and final way to ship cards is if you have not sold. So say you've sold it through some other means that's not eBay. If you need to ship your item, you can do it directly from PayPal. And you just type in, HTTPS paypal.com/ship now. And it'll bring you right to a shipping page where you can ship anybody anything. And you can print out a shipping label and pay right there with PayPal. So any U.S. Postal Service product can be purchased right there. So.
Do you need to know the weight and all that, or does that depend?
Okay. Yeah, you still need to know the weight. Yeah. And you can estimate it if you're selling something that's 5 pounds, approximately, stand on a scale, weigh yourself, and then pick up the item and weigh yourself again. Mm-hmm. You don't have to have a specialty scale. Although I will say, a scale that lists pounds and ounces is highly desirable and only costs $9 on Amazon. So it's the same thing that like drug dealers use to weigh out their drugs. They're like super cheap.
Magic's a kind of drug, right?
Cardboard crack,
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So, but that's about all there is to it. I highly recommend selling on eBay. It definitely funds the hobby.
Exactly.
So I think we probably should move on to our picks for the week here.
Yeah. I think we'll do just one pick this week each. And Devin, you want to go first?
Sure. So my pick for the week is actually a timely pick. It's basically time dependent, and it is because we know the sets that are coming out after Guilds of Ravnica. We have one more that's going to have some of the clans or guilds that have not come out in the Guilds of Ravnica. So we have, for example, the
Must be red-green at this point.
red-green is the Gruul, and the blue-green as
one.
well.
Okay.
And yeah, maybe the Azorius. There's several of them that are still not done. I think we've had 5, right? And there's 5 more that are coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that blue-red, and I'm sorry, blue-green and green-red have not come out yet. So I have actually started to buy the lands that the rare lands that are in those colors, because every single time when a new guild comes out, interest in that guild and their mechanics spikes, as happened just now with the Guilds of Ravnica. Those cards spiked about $2 to $3 more per card. My cards that I'm purchasing now, it's kind of one and the same. It's these dual lands. So it's the Hinterland Harbor, which is the blue-green one, and I bought a bunch of those at $2.75. So I got a few play sets of those, and I got 2 play sets of the Rootbound Crag for $2. That's the green-red one. So that's sort of my pick for the week. It's actually it's basically dual lands associated with the guilds that are coming out. So any of those lands that you can get cheap, and they're not going to spike to the high heavens, but they'll probably go from $2 to $3 or $4, or from $2 to 4 or 5. I think is realistic. From 3 to 5 or 6, I think is realistic. I think you'll gain about $2 per card once these guilds drop, and then you just unload them. As 4 ofs, 4 Hinterland Harbors, 4 Rootbound Crags. So
it makes sense. There always seems to be demand for those special lands, and especially when you have a good reason like this with the related guilds coming out.
Yeah, they're coming, so it's one of those few. It's one of those few sure shot moments where you're like, hey, you know what? This is probably going to go up. I would say highly likely, and in addition, you don't have to wait for too long. It'll be, at the speed at which Magic drops out these new sets, it'll just be like 2 months away.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
There's a finite time that you'll have to hold this. So it's not going to be dead money for long. You'll be able to recoup this money relatively quickly.
Yep. Nice. The one pick that I had is a card here that's just came out in Guilds of Ravnica. I think it's maybe a undervalued card at the moment. And that is the Swiftblade Vindicator of the Boros Guild. It's 1 red, 1 white. It's a 1/1 creature. But really what makes it shine is it's got 3 abilities in one. It's got Double Strike, Vigilance, and Trample. It's a human soldier. So for 2 mana, you're getting a Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample creature. So you throw any sort of equipment or enchantment on that, you're talking now that creature is going to be attacking for some serious damage.
Yeah.
And really, I think can be a powerhouse. And I played on Arena a couple times, and I had this card come up in some drafts, and it really was a star player. Once that enchantment went on it, it was a game winner right there. It was a huge threat.
Yeah.
And right now, it's only going for about $1. Actually, a little under $1.
Great.
I can see it. I could see this definitely going up. I don't think it's gonna. I'm kind of surprised it's not at least $2 to $3 now. But I could see this definitely going up. To somewhere maybe between a $3 to $5 card at some point, at least to a $3 card. I think it's definitely, once the decks get set a little bit more in the metagame and all that, I could see this card going up. Certainly long term, it's going to be worth more than 84 cents.
Yeah, I think it's a really fun card to play with too. It's like it's like one of those build around cards, that are always kind of fun for casuals too. I like cards that have casual appeal as well, just because the casuals really hold the value of these cards, especially even after they rotate. And that's a kind of fun card to slap an enchantment on. I don't care who you are. You're sitting there thinking, yeah, baby, Double Strike, Vigilance, Trample, I'll take some of that.
Exactly.
Put a +2/+0 on that or something, or +2/+2, and you are a happy camper.
Absolutely. So you're going to see that in those Boros decks. You'll see that in White Weenie, and whatever else is going to come on down the pike. But I think it's it's definitely going to go up.
Spicy little guy. Yeah, pretty
Absolutely.
good. Excellent. I think that might about wrap it up for the week.
Yeah, I think that covers us for this week.
Very good.
Good good episode. With that, I think we'll call it a day. And so going forward here, may all your picks turn to gold. Take it easy, and we'll be talking to you again soon.
See you real soon, guys.
Catch you later. Bye.